good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for our last session of the night. And it's really focused on the hot topic here, right? It's Miami and Austin, and how to relocate, why. And I'm super excited to really be talking to some of the experts that you should be chatting with, particularly if you're a startup professional or founder, investor. Why don't we kick it off and kind of go around the room? Josh, if you want to tell the folks a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with the Austin ecosystem.
Sure. Well, thanks so much for having me. It's glad to be here. It was fun listening to the last session and saw some friendly faces there too. But my name's Josh Baer. I'm the founder and CEO of Capital Factory, and I help people quit their jobs and become entrepreneurs. And been doing that here in Texas for now more than 20 years. I kind of still feel like I'm new to Austin somehow, but I'm not at all anymore. I don't know why, but I started my first company in my dorm room in college in the first .com boom in the mid 90s. Moved down here to Austin at the peak of the first .com boom in 1999. Plugged into the Trilogy incubator that was running here and the Trilogy Mafia. Been the most active early stage investor in Texas for the past 10 years or so. Been invested in about 600 companies over the past 20 years or so. I'm a Henry Crown Fellow at the Aspen Institute and an Eisenhower Fellow. And I'm just super excited to be here today, and you know, I'm a big fan of Miami and Austin, but happy to share what I can about both.
Cool, awesome. Maria, why don't you kick it off a little bit about Miami?
Sure. So I'm born and raised in Miami with some brief stints in Boston and Chicago. For the last 5 years, I've been running kind of what is, I like to think, the hub of the South Florida tech and startup community here called Refresh Miami. We were started actually 15 years ago, and we have a little over 11,000 members, all focused around supporting and growing the ecosystem here. Prior to that, my career was mostly in marketing for various startups. Very passionate about tech entrepreneurship and on the side animals. You'll probably see some of my dogs have a guest appearance throughout the night. And big fan of Austin as well. So I think this, it's a win-win either way we go. So I've spent some time and I love it there. But yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome. Ryan, how's it going?
Good. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. Hey, everyone. My name is Ryan Ray. I've been in Miami now for 4 years, and before that I was on the West Coast. I did everywhere from San Diego all the way up to Seattle. I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, but I've been here for 4 years now. I built my day job is I build AI chatbots. That's what I do. I build it for a company called Sky Organics. We sell natural products, shea butter, coconut oil, all that fun stuff, and I build the chatbots for e-commerce, customer service, etc. That's my day job. My job for this is I have sort of become the unofficial ambassador for Miami and Miami Tech and people who want to move here or are thinking about moving here. So I sort of help people have a soft landing here in Miami and help them sort of figure out, if the city is right for them and, everything we have to offer in the Magic City.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's interesting. We ran into each other, Ryan, at one of the meetups, and you knew more about Miami than I did, and I was born here. So that's awesome. So big question for everyone, like, Josh, let's kick it off with you. Like, why Austin right now? Like, Austin, for me, Austin's been a top 3 startup city for as long as I've been in startups. But why is it right now it's so popular?
Yeah, well, I mean, it is not some brand new kind of thing. Austin's been the fastest growing city in the country for, pretty much as long as I can remember, 10 years or so. And so, it's not this, this, in a lot of ways, I think what's new is just really, it's everywhere. It's not Austin, it's not Miami. It's that suddenly, that we reach this tipping point and everybody can work from anywhere. So now everyone's going anywhere they want to. And it's not, even though everyone can be everywhere, people aren't just going to perfectly evenly distribute across the country, right? And in a normal, no, people cluster in places where they really want to be, where there's really great lifestyles, places that they kind of wanted to go anyway. And so, I think we're seeing that in both Austin and Miami. What we're seeing in Austin right now is, again, it's not some new drumbeat. Like Austin's been at the top of every top 10 list forever. Like it's been top of mind. Everyone's already been thinking about Austin. So yeah, it's a natural, one of the natural winners when there's this big push. And I think, why now? I think I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday, and I think, they asked me, said, is Austin a tier 1 city or a tier 2 city? And I said, I think we might just be crossing over, like last year, I would have always said that we were the best tier 2 city. Like we were the king of the midgets. We were, like of all the tier 2 cities, this was the best place, but it was still a tier 2 seat from a startup, investment market perspective. And that does feel different. I actually think Austin's really on the cusp of being a tier 1 city, and we've got a super robust venture ecosystem. Having investors being more willing than ever to invest anywhere just makes that even more powerful. And a lot of other contributing factors make me feel like maybe that is part of what's going on right now. We're right at that tipping point.
Got it. Maria, you've been, you're a native. I know you went to, the Northeast to go to school. Was it Northeast, right? Or was it Chicago?
Well, Northeast and then Midwest.
And then
yeah,
Midwest.
Both Boston and Chicago.
That's right. Northwestern,
Yeah.
shout out. Great school. Look, I remember great football. So you've kind of left, you came back. And you've been working in the ecosystem for a very long time. What is it about right now? I know we're seeing the mayor going totally nuts on Twitter and everything, but how has it evolved right over the last 10 years?
Yeah, so it's been interesting. Moving away twice and moving back twice, I've always been a little concerned about what I was going to find when I came back, and I've always been pleasantly surprised. And now that I've been kind of more involved over the last 5 years, we've been, patiently building the ecosystem and kind of laying that foundation. And then it all kind of came to a head recently. In terms of why now, I think obviously there's some great momentum, and it's almost like because people are being so vocal, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy where people, the more people are vocal, the more folks come, and kind of like that flywheel. And so I think it's a great opportunity because, even though we've been building this for a while, it's still such early stages that someone can really play a huge role in growing the ecosystem. And so it's kind of like, do you want to be the big fish in a small pond? So I think it's just a really exciting time to be part of it. And you've seen it, the community is incredibly welcoming. And everyone's just excited for new folks to be here. And like you move here and you instantly have like 200 best friends who are just so excited for you to be here. So I think that's just really unique and exciting time to be in Miami.
Can I just pile on to something she just said there? Because, I'm hearing that, and it's like I can hear myself a few years ago. And it's because and I think Austin still has a lot of that, but I can imagine even more so now with Miami. That's what's been so special is we compare it to Silicon Valley. And it's like, if you go to Silicon Valley, like it's established, right? There is a hierarchy. There is Sand Hill Road, and there's not like room to expand. And so what's been so fun is that if you came here, you can be part of the growth. There's all these opportunities, all these holes, all these things where you can jump in and have a voice and help shape it and be part of it. And I'm sure, that's what you're feeling too, even more so, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny. I think Rosa and Maria are probably tired of my speech by now, but it's like I always say this thing, like Miami has always had all of the pieces. We've had the good weather, the business friendly stuff. We never had the glue to sort of put together. And right now, what the mayor's doing, what Maria's doing at Refresh Miami, stuff has just started to really click together in a way that it hasn't been in previous years. And we're capitalizing it, like I said, on that flywheel, and the forward motion now is just out of control. I had this is my 4th or 5th Miami meeting / event today on Wednesday. And it's just crazy that the amount of people moving here and the momentum is it's out of control. So I think right now is just an amazing time for both cities, but especially for Miami, because we have, the beaches, the weather, the quality of life that, other cities may not have at this point. So I think it's a special time for us.
Josh, you look at the Bay Area and Boston too, and some of these, more established ecosystems that have been around for a while. and when you think about it being a SaaS founder, I think the value of being outside of the capital, which now is sort of democratized, right, and is sort of everywhere, and certainly Austin. I mean, Vista's there, right? Geez, I know that's growth in PE, but what are some of the sort of, if I'm a founder or an investor and I'm really keen on SaaS, what are some of the benefits of being in Austin right now in 2021?
Well, certainly, it's kind of like the foundation. I mean, these days, we're investors in, like I said, over 600 companies. We're in all kinds of companies, right? We're in healthcare companies, we're in robotics and hardware companies, we're in drones, we're in, blockchain, you name it. Like, we probably are doing something in it somewhere. But that wasn't how we started. When we started, it was SaaS businesses, because we were smaller, and that's what we knew, and that's what we knew. There were companies that we could work with. SaaS businesses are particularly good for early stage tech investing. The economics of them work really well, and in many ways, actually, what's happened over the past 10 or so years is every other business has tried to become more like a SaaS business and tried to make their model more like, because it's such a good model. But it really is kind of like the core, right? And so there's just so much SaaS expertise and talent everywhere up the stack of all the people that you're going to need to know how to build that kind of business and grow it, market it, and sell it. And investors are super warm. That's the easiest thing to go get. There's lots of ways to get funded, lots of things, but it's easy to get SaaS businesses funded. That people get it, they know it.
Yeah. Well, I guess one of the interesting things about the Bay Area was when I look at my prospect list, right? And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna sell to other SaaS companies. I remember historically, it's just like, gosh, they're like within 10 miles of each other, and I can go ahead and get my first 100 customers without leaving the area. How is that? And Maria, think about this here in Miami, because I would love to see it totally explode. I'm a SaaS geek, but from an Austin perspective, what does that dynamic look like right now?
Look, I mean, I think what that really touches on is, quite frankly, probably one of Texas and Austin and Texas's biggest strengths. Again, I'm a huge fan of Miami. I actually think when you make a list of, like, the people are saying the great things about moving to Miami, it sounds like the great list of things to move to Austin. There's really a lot in common, right? But one of the things that is really unique about Texas is that it's not just Austin. It's that it's Texas, it's Austin, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, which are 4 of the 11 largest cities in the country. It's one city. Like, you can drive, I can go to Dallas for the day. I can go to Houston for the day. And so you can have one headquarters in any one of those cities and serve all of the cities. It's one huge market. And that's what our Texas manifesto really says. It says, treat the whole state like one big city. Fundraise across the city, because there's tons of money in Dallas and Houston and other places. Sell to the big companies, because the big companies' headquarters, they're in Dallas and Houston, not as much in Austin. It's more and more, but there's a lot in Dallas and Houston. And get talent from across the state. And that thinking of it that way, thinking of it as one big market you can sell into. Just now, they just released their latest update, and Texas actually just went up a number. Texas is now the 9th largest economy in the world. If Texas was a country, it's the 9th biggest country in the world. So that's what's super, super powerful about being in this market.
Awesome. Maria, what's your take on it? I know, having been in Boston, having been in the Chicago area, where there's agencies and brands in that area. What's your take on kind of that dynamic now? If I'm a SaaS founder, I'm at HQ'd in Miami, how can I leverage the kind of local ecosystem or economy?
Well, so I neglected to mention that in addition to my work at Refresh, I'm part of the team at the Venture City, and our founder Lauda always has this saying where it's like Miami to the world. And so it kind of, being based in Miami just opens you up to like the global play. And so it's kind of like you have a naturally diverse environment where you can test your products. And so it just kind of opens up this whole other segment. You're much closer to obviously LATAM, but to the kind of Europe market. And so it's just a great opportunity to really expand pretty quickly. And so I think that's a huge selling point for folks who are based here. It's just like you immediately kind of get this built-in exposure to all these different cultures and and customers, and so it kind of makes that transition to the global market all that much more easy.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who just moved here, and he was in Silicon Valley. He was an old ad mob guy, Josh, and then was in at Google for a little bit, and he's like, we're starting a consumer product for the U.S. Hispanic, and I was like, well, can't you just do that anywhere? He's like, well, I just really think that the demographic for hiring employees in this area was something that they really wanted to focus on. They really understood the user. Ryan, sorry, I cut you off there.
Oh, what I was going to say, I was just going to go off what she said, is like, a lot of people know that Miami is close to Latin America, but it's like right here. Like, it's our backyard. And, not even Latin America, but also the Caribbean. Like, we're so close to it, and it's such an untapped market that you have the ability to jump into a market that there's not a lot of competition in. And it's literally right in your backyard. And it's also right here in Brickell, because all of the Latin American family offices and, companies, they have their Latin America headquarters here in Brickell, here in Coral Gables. So it's like right here. And it's a new opportunity for these companies to jump into that their competitors might not already be in.
Ryan, Miami is Latin America, basically.
Miami is, yeah. So I say it's Latin America with the U.S. military, backing it, right?
Well, one thing I always tell people, if you're thinking about moving here, don't think of Miami as an American city with Latin American flavor. It's a Latin American city that just happens to be in the U.S. If you frame it that way, it's much easier to think about.
Josh, what would you say is, like if you think about certain areas? So, I'm being asked all the time about Miami. Where should I go? That sort of stuff. If you're a founder out there looking to relocate to Austin, what are some of the neighborhoods and areas that you absolutely should be in? I know we'll figure out the current health crisis in the world at some point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you ask that, you definitely have to kind of put a COVID, non-COVID qualifier on it, right? So right now, COVID makes our downtown's totally dead. Like there's not many people downtown. Austin's downtown is awesome. Like it's such a great downtown. It's like literally like 1 mile square. You can walk everywhere. Everything's kind of brand new because they've just been building so many buildings and other stuff. It's right on the water. There's just like it's very central, and so in general, I think you want to be as close to downtown as you can. Like, I mean, it is the central place, and so there's lots of other good places to be, and there's you can be a half hour or 45 minutes out and be on a ranch, or something like that, and still be able to get access things. But if it were me, I think quality of life is practically defined by how close can you get to downtown.
I'm going to speak just a little bit on our downtown because that's what I'm very passionate about. And our downtown in Miami is sort of similar to Austin. It's very compact. But my favorite thing about downtown Miami and general vicinity is that there are so many different neighborhoods with different flavors in them. So you have hipster, you have the financial district, you have all these places, but they're really close. So depending on where you want to live, what you want the flavor to be, it's right here, and you can walk to the next neighborhood. So, and then of course we have condos with billion-dollar views of the ocean, the port. So it's like there's downtown Miami, which I'm a big booster of, and I live here, is an amazing place. And you have to, if you come here, don't think of Miami as just South Beach and the beach. Downtown Miami is a whole other world, and you should really explore it.
Yeah, and there's, I know you love downtown. I think that, and I'm a little shocked. I just moved back home after 19 years, and I was in Silicon Valley the last 15 years, and to come home and see Buena Vista and Wynwood and all these places where I would never go back, when I was growing up, really being built out is incredible. Maria, what would you say outside of downtown? What are some areas that you would recommend folks who want to come to Miami to focus on?
I think it extends from in my perspective, it's like Brickell to Midtown. So in Brickell, you kind of have more like fintech, banks, like expensive, yuppie crowd. I love, it's wonderful. Then downtown, it probably is a little cheaper in terms of office space. You might have like, it's kind of like a little gritty. It's getting there, but it's kind of cool in that sense. Wynwood used to be that, but it's already priced people out. So it's more like you might have the cool like VCs that want to be in a creative space and have the budget to like stay in Wynwood now. And then Midtown is still kind of like, it still residential, but in like there's great coffee shops. There's Barry's, which apparently is like all you need in the startup world. Some people. So I think those are all, like Brian said, like a scooter ride away. And so I think most meetings are going to be concentrated between Brickell to Midtown, and you can't go wrong in the whole area.
And Maria, we need to also touch on what is happening with what Moist Manna is trying to do in downtown. With Flagler Street. So Miami's downtown Flagler Street was like its historic center, and it's been sort of run down for the past couple of years. There's a gentleman named Moist Manna who is trying to turn Flagler Street into a startup hub accelerator. They just signed Plug and Play to come to Flagler. So it looks run down right now. If you look at Flagler Street right now, you'll be like, ugh. But in 5 to 10 years, it has the opportunity to be the startup hub in Miami. So that's something important to think about.
Josh, are you seeing kind of more B2B or more consumer? Or, is there any sort of thing that's obvious?
I think we see a huge mix. The base was B2B, that was the SaaS is B2B, like I said, and that was the base, right? And so there's a super strong B2B. The most successful, a lot of the most successful companies in Austin are either B2B or B2B2C kind of marketplaces, things like HomeAway or VRBO, businesses like that. Again, 5 years ago, people would have said, "Oh, you can't get a consumer business, funded here." Like it's all B2B. But it's very different now, actually. Especially because of CPG, which is huge here. There's tons of CPG, and that's kind of opened people up to more consumer marketing and other things like that because of all the people moving here from Silicon Valley and other places who bring other skills and expertise. And investors are willing to make those kinds of investments, because investors who aren't from Austin, who might be a little more shy about those kinds of deals, are willing to make investments here. They're coming and funding deals. And so I think all those things we're seeing a lot more of it. So I don't know, say if I had a 60-30, 60-40, 65-35, B2B.
We got a question from one of the audience members, and she asks, what investors should I talk to for seed in Austin and Miami? Maybe since you have the mic, Josh, are there any outside of yourself, of course?
So we don't lead. We're super active investors, but we want to help you find somebody, and then we'll invest alongside them. But seed is probably the most robust part of the ecosystem here in Austin, and that's the thing that you want to have close. That's the money that's like hardest to get from far away. Not impossible, but just that's where often you want to be close. And so basically, Austin, when I moved here 20 years ago, there was this one big VC firm, Austin Ventures, and they had like $4 billion under management, and they dominated everything. And it was, they funded good companies and they did good work, but it wasn't really healthy for the ecosystem to have not a lot of competition or things like that. And eventually that firm broke up, and now all those people went off and started other firms, and they all have like $150 million funds. And there's a whole bunch of them, and it's really great. They're great people, but now there's a healthy competition between them. And so Moonshots Capital, Live Oak Venture Partners, Silverton Partners, Next Coast Ventures, ATX Ventures. I'm sure I'm gonna get in trouble because I'm gonna miss some, but those would be examples of ones that are really active, that are local, that are some of the first places that a lot of people go to.
Awesome. Maria, why don't you, I know you work with a lot of these folks all the time. What are some seed stage investors that you would recommend here in the area?
Well, obviously, first I have to plug the Venture City. We have a product-led growth program that kind of invests in early stage entrepreneurs, and then we're in the process of raising our second fund, which will be seed to Series A investments. Outside of that, you have Miami Angels, you have Black Angels Miami, you have Florida Funders. We're actually working on a way to better kind of display and help folks navigate the VC and fundraising environment here, especially with all the new entrants. So stay tuned for that. And you have obviously, the most recent news, which is SoftBank's $100 million Miami fund that they're currently accepting kind of applications for. So those, of course, I'm missing a ton, but those are the ones that kind of are top of mind.
Maria, and just to sort of go off what you're saying, I think beyond SoftBank, we just had in the past month even an influx of maybe funds below SoftBank, maybe 50 million, 20 million, but just a massive amount of them. And they're just getting here and getting rooted. So in the next couple months, there's going to be, I think, an explosion of people looking for things to invest in. That's my unscientific prophetic thing. But just from the people that I've met with, I think the next few months for Miami are going to be ridiculous as far as that goes.
Awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and go around, wrap up. Ryan, from a political sort of legal perspective, why should I move to Miami if I'm a startup founder or early employee? What are some of the benefits?
Sure. So Miami's always had these sort of benefits. We have, of course, no state income tax. And it's also very easy to start businesses here. Florida is known for that. But also, here's the really important thing, I think, is the politicians here, at least the ones that I've been working with, are willing to listen to you. They're willing to listen to you and work with you. And I don't know about other states, but if they're coming from the Bay Area or Northeast, the politicians there don't want them. They don't want anything to do with them. So here our politicians like, please come here, work with us, reach out to our community, and we'll give you that boost that you need. So I just think there's accessibility here as far as politics goes, and the tax benefits and cost of living is just gravy on top. So I think that would be my elevator pitch for that section of Miami.
Awesome. And if folks, I know you're helping a lot of early stage founders and tech professionals move here to Miami, helping them find places. If people want to get in contact with you, what are some of the best channels to reach you? Maybe you can plug it into the chat for folks.
Yeah, so I'll put in the chat, but I'm Volvo Shine on Twitter, just like the car, Volvo Shine. And my email address is volvoshine@hotmail.com. I'll put it in the chat. But my DMs are open. Please email me or send me a DM. I'm happy to meet on Zoom or in person. I'm more than happy to. So please reach out.
Awesome. Josh, just I guess what's the political legal climate? Same sort of question. And how is it beneficial to early stage founders and tech employees?
Sure. Well, super impressed with everything the Miami mayor has been doing. I've been fun watching it on Twitter and cheering him on where I can. And I think it's been super smart marketing and effective and great. And I think he's throwing out lots of great ideas. The mayors are all pretty tight. Like, they have this like council of mayors. They come to Austin for South by Southwest almost every year. So we see a lot of them when they come down for that. I know the Austin mayor and the Miami mayor speak frequently. I know as COVID was coming and we were canceling South by Southwest, and I think you had a big festival that you were canceling, they were powwowing on that. And so to be honest, I think they share a lot of those things. Mayor Adler's been part of the tech community since he was, elected, many years ago. And he frequently, when we have our startup week or, he's at Capital Factory all the time on stage, welcoming guests, celebrating the things that we're doing, helping to support them, helping to get the tech community plugged into what they're doing. It's not perfect, and nobody's going to agree. Like, people have different opinions, right? But it's highly engaged. And when he talks about that in particular really resonates with me, and I've seen over the past 20 years that I've been here for sure, is that Austin's a place to try new things. And we're hearing that from Miami too, but that's his stump speech. That's Austin's a place where it's okay to fail, where we're okay trying things that might not work sometimes, but that's how you move things forward, right? And you see, Austin is one of those places that a lot of people launch things for the first time. It's one of the first places that, Uber or Lyft or Airbnb or Google Fiber or those things, it's a place they pick to roll those things out because we try new things and we give them, and we're open to that. And I think, again, I don't think that's just us. I mean, I think we're hearing that exact same thing in many ways from Miami too. But that's something we have in common that is good.
Awesome. And I know that you posted your information in the chat for folks. So if anyone's interested, be sure to scroll and get that information. Thank you so much. Maria, why don't you take us home here? So what,
Oh,
I guess, sort of a different perspective, and I know you're really involved with this day to day and working with the Knight Foundation and all sorts of folks.
I mean, Ryan did a great job. I mean, and obviously our mayor's really doing an incredible job and is really responsive and helpful. But it goes beyond that. I think he has an entire community behind him, willing to help, and people like Ryan who will meet with you as soon as you get here. I'm hosting weekly Welcome to Miami calls on so far they've been on Friday, connecting folks that are moving here, interested in moving here, kind of exploring it with folks that are here on the ground. So definitely, I tweet out the registration link. So look for that. And I think it's just a really receptive, welcoming community. And it starts from the mayor down. And it's not just Mayor Suarez, but Mayor Levine Cava, who's like the mayor of the entire county, who's really excited. I was on a call yesterday with the mayor of Boca and the vice mayor of Broward. And so it's kind of like a whole regional effort that's really behind this.
Awesome.
I have one more thing to add, and I promise the last thing. I want to say that when I meant quality of life is that right now in Florida, especially in Miami, we're open. We're open for business. We're open for life. And sorry, I'm not trying to throw shade on Austin here, but our downtown is alive right now. It's actually more alive than it ever has been. So that's another benefit, I think. I'm enjoying the ability to go out and live my life. So, that I just wanted to add that we're open for business and open for life.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We'll go ahead and wrap up for the evening. I want to thank all the panelists who are super excited about their respective cities. I got to try to stay somewhat biased. I am living in Miami now, but I love Austin. I almost moved to Austin. If it wasn't Miami, it'd definitely be Austin for sure. I'm just from here, Josh. What can I say? And my dad's getting old, so I got to take care of him.
I'll come visit you guys.
Dude, you got it. You and TK, we should do something. Thank you, and thanks, Maria. Thank you again. I know you're super busy. You got so much stuff going on, so I really appreciate your time. And then, of course, Ryan, who's probably the most excited individual that I've met in a long time about the city that is not actually from here. So thank you so much for what you're doing for the city. We got one question that came in here. This would be for Josh. Where can I get an office for my startup in Austin? I guess I'm assuming like what location?
Yeah, well, if you're just landing, you should come, and it's your first office. You should come get one at Capital Factory. I think there's still a couple open, but there's a lot of options. I mean, again, I'd probably try to be downtown. I'd try to be central. Especially due to COVID and everything else, I think generally, office space you've got choices more than you would have before. It's going to fill back up, people, I don't think people are going to never go back to the office, but you probably have a lot more choices now than you did a year ago when it was super tight. So there's lots of co-working spaces. There's 5 WeWorks all over Austin, and other more local co-working places as well. Depending on where you live and things like that. But if you want to meet people and you want to plug in, you want to be at Capital Factory.
So Maite, I think that's pronounced right. I hope I did. Go to Capital Factory. So sign up and let them know that you saw us on this event.
Then I'll introduce you to people.
Absolutely. And let me say, I was talking about this in the green room before we went live. 10 years ago, I reached out to you. And I was doing these like sales for startup webinar or events in person webinars, right? I guess that's what they are now. But and you were just like, dude, go for it. And I think we did like 3 events over a couple of years. And thank you, because we were just having fun, and so we really
that's what we want.
That.
We want awesome people to come in and have fun and bring in other good people and teach things and do stuff. So that you were helping us too.
Cool. Well, everyone, thank you so much. We're going to continue this content series moving forward. So just follow us on social media. Be sure to follow all the panelists across all the sessions here this evening. They volunteered their time. You can see it's late on the East Coast, and Maria and Ryan are here because we're that passionate about the topic. And hope to see you soon. And for the panelists, hope to see you in person, Ryan. See you soon, I'm sure, at a Miami Tech picnic. Maria, hope to see you again. Josh, I will come out to Austin really, really soon. A lot of my
South by
sales.
2022.
Pardon me?
South by Southwest 2022.
Sounds good. And by the way, like Max Saltriller from Sales Hacker is now in Austin. Scott Britton from Troops is now in Austin.
Yeah, hook me up. I want to meet all those people.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I talk to them all the time. There's literally 10 people that I knew were in SaaS B2B in New York and San Francisco that are now in Austin. So I'll shoot you some notes.
Please do.
Cool.
All right. Hey, nice to see you all. Nice to meet everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Josh,
Have a great night, everyone.